actually feel like because Bangladesh came of age as a new country just after the War of Liberation in 1971, that the young people at that time were called to a different path. They might have thought their life was going to go one way, and after experiencing this incredible war, they were called to do something about their new country and to become part of the nation builders is why I think Bangladesh has given birth to some of the world's greatest social entrepreneurs. Muhammad Yunus, the founder of Grameen, won the Nobel Peace Prize, and Sir Fazli Hassan Abed, who was knighted by the Queen just a year or so ago because of his incredible work with BRAC, which all started just as an individual impulse, right? Abed actually had been part of the Liberation War movement. He had escaped, he'd been a Shell Oil executive, escaped when the war broke out via Pakistan and across the Khyber Pass, eventually got to London. So he was actively supporting and trying to make sure the British government would recognize Bangladesh when it was liberated. Once it happened, he sold his flat in London. He moved back and he used the majority of that money, I think it was like £12,000 or something, to start a small relief effort. The Bangladesh Rehabilitation Assistance Committee, he and his friends, set up this work in a very remote part of Bangladesh in the north, Sylhet, where most of the folks who run our restaurants come from. And he realized in starting to do this work that the problems were complicated, that it wasn't enough to just respond to the medical and health needs. People actually weren't literate. They needed to be educated. And it wasn't easy to start an educational program with adults. So he realized we should start it early on with the children. But most importantly, he realized people needed to work to be able to feed themselves. So as economies changed and became part of where money mattered, then people needed to start earning money. And so introducing microfinance, the ability of people to borrow money with interest without any collateral and repay that within a year to do something that they knew how to do, that was a major part of the development work in Bangladesh with BRAC. And they also realized, though, it's not enough to just lend and get the money back. They needed to help people figure out more and better things to do with their time, so how to increase the productivity of their labor. So that woman may be borrowing that $100 and raising a milk cow, or getting a couple of calves and raising them to give birth to others. But how much milk is that cow giving? So at that time, probably the Bangladeshi variety was only giving a liter or a liter and a half of milk a day. So what the ingenuity of Abed and BRAC did is figured out how to change, in fact, and improve the cow of Bangladesh. So today, on average, your Bangladeshi cow has been improved, that variety, to give 6 or 7 liters of milk a day. Now, it's not the Dutch cows that can give 12 or 15, but we have to have an appropriate cow that can eat enough to have the right fodder to be able to be productive. And so that's the application of science and knowledge, modern practices, access to productive inputs, and access to a market. Well, the market was a problem, so what did BRAC do? BRAC created a dairy, and today it's the #2 dairy in Bangladesh, 27% market share, I think, with 100 chilling stations all over the country. Now, working on the value chain, whether it's milk or silk or chickens or ducks or corn or rice, all of these things are ways, they're strategies that help people develop their livelihoods. So it's not giving people charity, it's just unleashing their own productive capacity. And with better seeds that can germinate and produce 2-3 times the crop yields, that woman and that man's time becomes 3 times more productive. So that's the key to being able to get out of poverty. You help people to earn, you help them to build assets, help them to save. Gradually what they do, usually it takes maybe 4 loans before they can really start saving. Gradually what they're able to do is improve what they eat, because malnutrition, stunting and wasting is a very serious problem. Luckily it's gone down. Poverty in Bangladesh has been halved. Infant mortality has gone down. Maternal mortality has gone down. Education has gone up. Access to family planning has gone up. Now, a woman on average in Bangladesh will have 2 children. She used to have 6 children on average. And why? Because more than a quarter of those families' children didn't survive to age 5. So it's all connected. It's all connected, but it starts with her and that family, and figuring out how you unravel the deep social and cultural and economic and political web that keeps people trapped in poverty. BRAC's a learning organization, right? So back in 1975, BRAC set up its first research and evaluation department. Why? Because the folks who were running BRAC wanted to know. It wasn't imposed by some donors or something. Any effective CEO has to know how she or he's doing. So of course we want to know if we're selling a product, if people like it. If our business is to defeat poverty, to improve malnutrition, to improve health, to get kids in school, we need to know how we're doing. So BRAC invested early on in becoming a learning organization. And so what you had is a continuous tweaking and testing, piloting new ideas, always innovating. In fact, it's like frugal innovation. It's hard for me to actually explain BRAC really well because it's like touching a part of the elephant. BRAC is a $1 billion balance sheet now. It works not just in Bangladesh, but in 10 other countries. It's a development organization that intends to help people get out of poverty themselves and create wider opportunity in education and in healthcare and legal rights, in being able to defend and know their own human rights. And so if you think about an organization, it's not quite a typical NGO because they use so many business models in the approach. They've created social enterprises. In fact, many people call BRAC a social enterprise itself because 70% of its annual budget now is self-generated. Well, in terms of the scale and diversity of our interventions, we employ over 100,000 people. We're not the largest in terms of the number of countries, but everywhere we work in a deep way.